Yo, what's going on YouTube? Hi, it's Facecam Tofu here. I don't know why I facecam on today, but I'm just going to try it. So today we are talking about the developer update. This is going to be a pretty quick video where I just cover it quickly. The devs released an update today where they talked about a lot of different things, but most importantly, the biggest thing that they said was that survivors are going to be able to pick themselves up off the ground after 45 seconds without the need of any perks, which is a big game-changing change. I don't think I need to say how game-changing that is. Normally, there's only a few ways to pick yourself up off the ground, and they almost always require perks, and a lot of them are one-time uses. So it's kind of a huge deal that we're now going to be able to do that on our own as Survivor. That's a big, massive change. And I saw a lot of people that were really upset about this, a lot of people that are really happy about this, but I think there's some aspects to this that maybe people aren't thinking about, so I kind of want to jump into some of the technical numbers and talk about it a little bit. But I also want to cover the rest of the patch too. So I'm just going to very quickly cover anything else, and then we'll come back to this, and then I'll give maybe like my semi-hot take / analytical, stance on it. There's nothing big. I'm just gonna go to the highlights. Basically, unlike most PTBs, this feature will not be coming live in the following updates. That's a pretty important thing to note because this actually won't be live this next patch. So we're gonna get a PTB, and then like a few weeks after the PTB, we're gonna get a patch. But this that's in this, like all this that's in this developer update, won't be in the patch that's actually coming. I'm sure there'll probably be other things that are coming in the patch, but this won't be in it. So like it's kind of weird in that way. But I don't know. So just keep that in mind. So this is one thing that's happening as well. They're making this last standing. This is kind of how the new Mori works. They're changing Moris, and they're making it so that now when there's one survivor left that's either not downed, where's the list? Not dead, dying, hooked, or have escaped. Basically, if there's one survivor left that is like able to run around and actually like do gens and get unhooks and stuff, if there's only one person that's still up and able to do all that, it triggers last standing, which seems to be like this weird like showdown event where both the survivor and the killers get like an FOV change. They get their senses get heightened, and they get a wider FOV, and I guess it's like this weird like showdown, like and it's like an old Wild West fucking, I don't know, it's weird. And apparently it's gonna mess up your field of view, and then if the killer downs the final standing survivor, it triggers the finishing Mori, which is basically how Moris work now. I guess Moris are just going to be like the finishing Mori. I'm really hoping they don't make it some like dumb, corny animation where like the killer does like a kill, and it's like, congratulations, you win, like some Mortal Kombat fatality shit. I'm really hoping they don't go like that far with it, but we'll see. Either way, that's how Moris are going to work. It's just going to be the way to end trials now when the killer wins, I guess. So kind of interesting. Also, just FYI, Moris are getting changed to basically just give you blood points now if you actually get a 4K and end with a Mori. So not really a big deal, but there you go. But here's the big thing. Here's the big thing. So in addition to this is the part that it really is causing a ruckus. So they're basically just making it so that after being left on the ground for 45 seconds, survivors will now be able to gain the ability to pick themselves up without the need of any perks. Now again, this is huge, because right now there's only a few ways to do this, and a lot of them are very situational. Like Unbreakable is the only one that's not situational, and that's a one-time use. The other ones are like really situational, right? Like No Mither is like, it makes you injured for the whole game. The boon, you have to be in the boon radius, you have to set up the boon, and the boon can be snuffed. Like, this is a really big deal, being able to pick yourself up off the ground without needing a teammate. That's a huge deal. But I think a big thing that a lot of people are overlooking here is that it says being left on the ground for 45 seconds, and it also says that this is affected by recovery speed effects. Now, what this is telling me, if I'm not mistaken, is I believe that the 45 seconds is just how long it takes to fully recover now. So if you don't know, in the current game right now, the way it works is that your recovery bar can go up to 95%, and then once it gets to 95%, a little thing pops up that's like, you need help, find a teammate, or whatever. But to get from 0 to that part where you need a teammate to come tap you up, that takes 30 seconds. It takes a little bit more than 30 seconds, but basically 30 seconds. But now, it's going to take like 43 or 44 seconds to get basically that same amount. So it's actually like a really big decrease to recovery. Like recovery speed in general is getting like a huge, like, I guess it's like a 50% decrease or something, which is massive, right? Like that's actually kind of massive. Now, again, obviously they can pick themselves up, so you really can't just leave them there. But I think what this means is that, like, what I'm seeing that's going to be coming from this change is I think that short-term, like, tactical slugging is going to be better. Because if you slug one person and you basically just want to go do one thing really quickly, like say you down a guy and then you just want to go get one hit, or maybe kick a gen, or maybe you know, down somebody and then come back. Like basically, if your plan is to come back to the person that you downed and pick them up after doing something really quickly, there's a higher chance that they'll be there because it takes longer for them to get off the ground overall, right? Now, again, if you're planning on leaving them there forever, like it sucks because they don't need a teammate to come get them anymore. But if you're planning on coming back to get them, there's a high, like it takes longer. It takes longer for them to get out of there. Whether a teammate comes to pick them up or not, they're going to be recovering slower. So if a teammate comes to heal them, they're going to have less recovery bar, which means the survivors have to take longer to heal them. And if they're picking themselves up, it takes fucking 45 seconds. Like that's a long time, right? That's a pretty decently long time. So I think on average, if you're just doing a really quick slug just to get something done and then come back, I think you're actually going to have overall more time now. You have a little bit more leeway in that regard. Now, the one thing about this that might make me wrong about this is I didn't talk about the perk changes here, but they're changing some of the perks. Okay, the big one being Unbreakable. Unbreakable is getting changed, so now it just helps your recovery speed by 100%. That's basically it. You recover 100% faster all the time. So your recovery speed with Unbreakable would be 22.5 seconds, which is actually faster than current Unbreakable. If the wiki's correct, then current Unbreakable is actually 24 seconds. So that means that this new Unbreakable is actually going to be faster and also unlimited. So actually kind of insane, kind of a ridiculous buff for Unbreakable. I mean, I guess it needs to be a pretty big buff. Otherwise, why would you ever run it anymore since you could pick yourself up baseline? And Rancor and Devour Hope are both getting changed because they don't want Moris to be tied to perks anymore, since Moris are only going to be an endgame thing. And basically, Rancor is just getting an aura reading on the obsession for 5 seconds once the exit gate, or sorry, once the final gen is done, which is fine with me. I think that's a fine change. I don't think that really makes it significantly weaker or stronger. I think it's just kind of still okay. And Devour Hope is just going to make it so that now if you hook anybody with while you have 5 tokens, they just instantly die on hook. So basically the same thing. It just now requires you to hook them, which kind of opens you up to like flashlight saves and Sabo plays. So I guess a little bit of a nerf, but not a big deal. Not a big deal. But Unbreakable is the thing that I really want to focus on, because I think this being a buff or a nerf to killers, I think really depends on how the community takes this, right? If the community, especially the killer community, takes this change and their mentality towards it is like, oh my god, there's no point in slugging anymore ever because the survivors could just pick themselves up. So what's the point? Slugging is dead. The devs are all survivor main trash and there's no point in slugging anymore. Like if that's the mentality that people have towards this update and nobody slugs, like if every killer is just like downing people and then instantly hooking them, then no one's gonna run Unbreakable, right? Like Unbreakable, you'll like never see it because you'll just never get value, you know? Like even right now, I feel like when I play Survivor, if I run Unbreakable, I get value like 1 out of every like 5 games maybe, you know? So I feel like there's a decent chance that maybe Unbreakable, like maybe we'll never see Unbreakable. Like we might never see this perk, honestly. We really might. But maybe we will. And that's the thing. If Unbreakable actually does become more meta, then I think slugging is like dead. If people are like semi-consistently picking themselves up in 22.5 seconds and they can do it continually throughout the match, that's kind of insane. Like that's going to make slugging basically just dead. So I don't know. I'm really torn about this. It feels like without Unbreakable, slugging is actually like significantly better now. Again, in the short term, at least. Short term slugging is at least significantly better. Like little things are worse. Like if you want to like camp a slug guy and a hook at the same time, maybe that's a little bit worse than before. But even that's only a little bit worse. It's still really strong. It's still a really strong play to do. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is actually interesting. I'm curious to see how this plays out. I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts on this. This whole patch seems cool to me. As far as my actual overall thoughts in the patch, I like it. I like it a lot. I think making the survivors be able to pick themselves up on their own is a great change. I think it kind of changes, it really helps against a lot of like the unfun things that can happen. Like I think killer builds that are based on nothing but slugging people and letting them bleed out is just shitty. Like whether it's effective or not, it's just boring. And like I just don't think boring things should be encouraged. I think they should be actively discouraged. And I think that's what this does. So it does a really good job of that. And I think it also does a good job of that while also counter buffing slugging in like a very certain way, right? Like as long as you slug in a certain way, it's actually stronger. So I think this is actually really well done. I'm actually really happy with how this looks on paper. I feel like depending on how 45 seconds feels, maybe it could be a little bit shorter, maybe it could be a little bit longer. I'm not 100%, but I feel like on paper, it looks really nice. And I'm really curious to see how it feels when I actually get my hands on the PTB. So I'm excited for the update. Let me guys know your thoughts. I'm curious to know how you guys feel about this. I'm actually pumped for this. I'm hoping that maybe, you know, that's a point of view that you didn't think about when it comes to this. Like if you are somebody that's upset about this change as like a killer player, maybe that'll like open your eyes up to like a new, you know, point of view that maybe you weren't thinking of. And just in general, I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I'm actually really excited for this. This seems really interesting, and I really want to get my hands on it. I'm more excited about this. I'm actually less excited about this. The last standing thing's a little bit odd, but we'll see how it goes anyway. Anyway, hey guys, so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Oh yeah, the webcam thing's the thing. Let me know how you feel about it. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the webcam. I can just start putting webcams in videos in general if you want. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for hanging out. Like the video if you liked it. Sub as well. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Hope you guys have an awesome rest of your night. I'm out of here. I'll take care. I'll take you later.